One of the winningest coaches in college football, Urban Meyer, the head coach of Ohio State, who's won 3 national championships, is now on administrative leave because of allegations of domestic violence against one of his assistant coaches. Another allegation is that he knew about it, and if he did, he could be in violation of his contract. I want to bring Jeanette and Bill back to weigh in on this discussion, but first, I want to go to our sports guy, George Falkowski. George, what are the details in the story?
Bill, the assistant coach in question, Zach Smith, was fired from Ohio State last week when another story surfaced about his alleged abusive treatment of his now ex-wife, Courtney Smith. Ohio State coach Urban Meyer says he was aware of the 2009 incident where Smith was charged with aggravated battery on his wife, who was pregnant at the time, and recommended counseling to the couple. Charges in that case were dropped due to lack of evidence. The latest twist, the sports network Stadium posting an interview with Courtney Smith where she describes the abuse. She was asked if she believes Urban Meyer knew of the 2015 charges.
I do believe he knew, and instead he chose to help the abuser, enable the abuser, and believe whatever story Zach was telling everybody.
You can see Courtney Smith's full interview at www.watchstadium.com.
All right, thanks, George. Jeanette, I want to start with you on this.
I think Ohio State handled it correctly. They put him on paid administrative leave. They didn't fire him right away to see what the truth actually is. And it seems like Courtney Smith has a lot of text messages. She has a lot of proof. So we'll have to see.
Bill, but it seems like there's a lot of back and forth. Sure. And, you know, she said, I told his wife, Meyer's wife, and she said, well, I'm not sure if I told my husband. Again, I don't know that we can take the jump that he potentially covered up. I think this comes down to if he knew about his coach, it's about his contract. And does this seem spiteful and vindictive?
No, we don't know enough yet about all of this. And I think we're not at the end of this. We're actually probably closer to the beginning in terms of at least Ohio State's investigation. But I do think that this woman has a role here to play in the future. There is a culture in collegiate athletics, particularly in football programs, of these cover-ups. And if that is exactly what happened here, then there is an issue that I think has to get dealt with going forward. But we're at the beginning of this. We don't know who knew what. We don't know what happened.
Well, we do know that he knew about it in 2009, the incident where she was pregnant and he threw
he
against the wall.
that.
Urban Meyer did, and he
Right.
referred her and the husband to counseling. Not that a crime like domestic violence needs counseling. It's a crime. But we do know he knew of at least that one incident.
But do you fault them? I mean, the conversation that I read about his wife and him trying to help this couple that was struggling, I mean, and the charges were dropped. I mean, again, we don't know all the details, but there ended up being no charges. It sounds to me like they were the good guys coming in to help. I don't, again, understand how
I don't think
this relates.
they should be at blame. I think Courtney Smith herself said, I didn't think he would ever do it again, which many domestic violence survivors say.
You can't go back in time either, but it looks like there was a mutual effort here among all the parties to try to figure this out.
Solve it.
Right.
And that may have been a good result, but it didn't end up that way, unfortunately.
George, to your point earlier about the fact that, you know, accusations, we do a lot of stories about this in today's social media world. An accusation means guilt until you prove you're not guilty, unfortunately. And but Jay Paterno, son of the late Joe Paterno, weighed in, and he had an interesting take on this.
Well, his take was, don't jump to conclusions. Wait for the facts. He's asking, of course, Ohio State not to basically, burn Urban Meyer at the stake until the facts are in. But I think the other side, the flip side of this, is if there's truth in all of this stuff, what we're learning from Penn State, what we're learning from
But go back to the Penn State before you make that point, and just explain that what is his context that his dad didn't know?
Well, that's what he's claiming, and that's what the Paterno family is going to continue to say.
There was abuse going on with Jerry Sandusky in the locker room. Guy goes to prison, and people said that, hey, head coach, Joe Pa should have known, probably did know. He said, no, I didn't. And of course, he's gone. We'll never know. But back to your point, why would Jay weigh in on this and bring up all those memories again?
Well, I think it's still a sore subject. Obviously, the wounds are still fresh. Obviously, his dad's legacy is tarnished. But the last point I was going to make is that if this sort of stuff is true, what we're learning is whether it's Penn State or Ohio State or a high school or whatever it is, if there's a scandal, face it. Don't circle the wagons because sooner or later it's going to come out.
It's going to come out.
Thanks, guys.